You're listening to the Junto Podcast, a podcast about leadership, faith, community, and pretty much anything else that you want to talk about. Visit us at www.juntopodcast.com. That's JUNTO podcast.com. Thanks for stopping by and enjoy the show. Episode 93 of the Junto Podcast, and we're talking phobias. My gosh, everybody's got a phobia. Heather, you have phobias, right?
Sure, of course. Lots.
Lots of phobias.
Lots
Am I a phobia?
You are one of them.
I am one of them. We'll have to categorize that.
Jeremy Phobia.
Jeremy and Heather Phobia, something like that. Excited to be with you today. That's right. The Junto Podcast is also the Together podcast. And we're talking all things phobia. And of course, we know that God is greater than our phobias, but let's discuss these and let's see how we can maybe let God take care of our phobias. Maybe we can move past some things. So excited. Yeah. And I know you got some info for us as far as the content we're going to be sharing.
Right. Yeah. We're going to be looking at some common phobias, the most common ones. There, of course, are tons out there. And the resource that we're looking at is Very Well Mind.
Very Well Mind.
So this is a trusted, compassionate online resource that provides the guidance you need to improve mental health and find balance. Very good resource. verywellmind.org. So that's what we're going to be looking at today.
Right. And if you've never joined us on the Junto Podcast, we talk a lot of mental health, leadership, marriage, all things kind of, I won't say in the sphere of counseling, but, you know, we all got issues. So we like to talk about things like that and always bring a perspective of faith into that. And so with that, you gave us a great intro about Very Well Mind and the resource. Yeah. Let's get into some of these phobias because, y'all, I've heard about some crazy stuff, and I'm excited to talk about some of these phobias.
Yeah, let's find out what we have.
Yeah, what do we have? What's wrong with us?
Right. You know, we have these fears, but we're like, why? Why am I scared?
Why do I have these fears?
What is this? What does this mean? So we're just going to dig into some of this stuff that haunts us, and we have fears.
Well, and I wanted to say, too, if you're, checking out this nice all-green sweatsuit I'm in. It's St. Patty's Day.
It is.
So I'm in the spirit. We are enjoying the sunshine. We had some time outside with the kids. And so
Beautiful
with that, I'm still repping St. Patty.
You
man.
are.
So
I love it.
Green.
Slanche, right?
Slanche, yes. Here we go.
I said that right, yes. St. Patrick's Day. I love the history behind St. Patrick and all that he did for the Irish folks, my ancestors way back when, bringing them the gospel.
Come on, man.
Hey,
St. Patrick was crucial.
Yep.
And so with that, thank you, St. Patrick. And, maybe we'll rely on you to get us past some of these phobias, ultimately relying on God. But
that's right.
So let's dig into this. I know people are excited to hear about what phobia they might have. Maybe you didn't know there was a name for what you have. And we're going to find that out today.
Yeah, we are. So are you terrified of creepy crawlies, scared of slithering serpents?
Oh, my goodness.
Serpents. Can't talk today. You're not alone. Statistics suggest that phobias are among the most common psychiatric illnesses among U.S. adults. National Institute of Mental Health suggests phobias affect approximately 9.1% of U.S. adults each year.
Gosh.
They typically emerge during childhood or adolescence and continue into adulthood. Now listen to this. They also impact twice as many women as they do men.
Well, that's interesting. So what you're saying is that women, psychiatrically speaking, are more unstable than men? Is that what I'm interpreting?
Negative. Not at all.
I'm going to get in trouble. I better stop. I better stop.
You are. So let's get into some. I'm going to scroll down. There's a list here, a short list, but I want to go to the more in-depth list. And then at the end, we've got some polls here to show percent-wise which phobias are the most common.
Awesome.
So I think everybody probably knows this one, famous movie back in the 90s, Arachnophobia.
Arachnophobia, that's right.
Fear of spiders and other arachnids.
Other arachnids,
Just
gosh.
the name, spider and arachnid.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy. And of course, if you grew up, like you said, in the 90s, you're immediately going to think about that movie and the spider running like that spider wasn't backing down. It was coming full-fledged, full force at the guy, and he shot it. Was it with a nail gun? With fire?
Yeah. I wasn't really even scared of the big spider. It was all the little multitude of the little ones all around.
Oh, my gosh.
I think that's the worst part of the entire movie. But
Yeah.
I have arachnophobia. But
Well, here's some comfort. Let me read
okay,
you. Oh,
read me comfort.
Well, check this out.
Yeah.
While there are an estimated 35,000 spider species, only around a dozen pose any real threat to humans. So,
dozen. That's 12.
Yeah, but there are 35,000 species, and out of those, there's only like 12 that really pose it. So it's the look more than anything that I think.
It's the legs.
It's the legs. It's the creepy, the crawly, the.
Gosh.
Yeah.
And then the webbing and like it descending down and.
Yeah.
I think the worst for me is probably the brown recluse because we do have those here in our area.
We have a lot. When we first moved in the house, this house was vacant for over a year. And so spiders really they had furniture in here. I mean, the spiders basically.
Spiders had furniture.
Yes, they were living here.
This was their house.
This was their house.
Right.
And when we first moved in, we were killing brown recluses several a day for weeks.
Yeah. Well,
for weeks.
So we first moved in. I'll just tell this quick story. It was end of April, May-ish. So it was still a little slightly cool. Didn't notice them. Once we hit July, August, they started to come out of their wherever they were, all over the house where they had been. That's when it really got arachnophobic.
Well, and it really was. It's like we were killing multiple spiders a day. And these are brown recluses. And keep in mind, we've got kids. And so that was a big thing. So
it was.
I wasn't necessarily... I mean, I'm freaked out. I don't have arachnophobia, I don't think. But I'm not the spider killer in the house either.
That's what I was going to say a moment ago, is even though I'm scared of them, like I'm so scared that I want to eradicate them. So I immediately, what are you looking up?
I was looking at the TV. No, you're good.
Yeah, so we have to end them when they're in this house.
Yeah, we do. We have to end the spiders. It's just point blank.
All right, moving on.
This
one's similar. It's about another creature, and I hope I can say this right. Ophidiophobia.
Wow.
Do you know what it is?
Impressive. I do because I'm reading it. But
I'm
just impressed with how, because I was thinking, how are we going to say this? But ophidiophobia.
Sounded it out.
Right.
Use my phonics.
Phonics hooked on.
The fear of snakes.
By the way, if you knew that, congratulations.
Right.
Because never in my life have I heard of ophidiophobia.
Ophidiophobia.
To continue with what you said, this phobia is quite common and often attributed to evolutionary causes, personal experiences, or cultural influences. Some suggest that since snakes are sometimes poisonous, our ancestors who avoided such dangers were more likely to survive and pass down their genes. So it's it's a fear of snakes, which I do have. I just, even though we've killed our fair share.
We have. We lived in the country. We're still kind of country, but rural as well. But when we were in the country, we had to protect our home from water moccasins. Right? Or cottonmouths. No,
same thing. I mean, essentially cottonmouth.
Yeah.
Y'all, we killed, and I did not, like, it would have been so much easier if I had a shotgun at the time, but I didn't. And so just to paint the picture, we're outside, we're in the country on about an acre of land. This was our starter home when we first got married. And we didn't have it fenced in. It was just the big yard, and the trampoline
Kids'
is
playground.
here. Yeah, exactly. Swing set, trampoline.
Yes.
Kids are on. We only had 2 kids at the time. Kids are jumping, and I see the biggest, and I'm not exaggerating.
It was,
I know there's a lot of people who exaggerate and say they caught a fish this big when it was really, or that they caught a fish this big when it was really this big.
I would
but
let
no,
you know
this was,
if he was lying. I would let you know.
Yes, this was a legit snake. I mean, this thing, it wasn't that it was super long. It's just how thick this thing was. I mean, when I say this thing was thick, it's just unbelievable. And so,
getting the heebie-jeebies.
Long story short, we had to eradicate this because it was a poisonous snake on our property.
It was.
And so
we did the old-fashioned.
I grabbed a cinder block.
I grabbed a rake or shovel, I think.
Threw it on its tail. And when I tell you I threw that thing as hard as I could, it trapped the snake in the ground, in the tail, to where it couldn't move. And so Heather begins, y'all, this is terrible. I apologize. If you love snakes and we're offending you right now, I do apologize. It's all we knew what to do at the time.
We're young parents trying to protect our children. We just went for it. And yeah.
I'll be honest, though, I was scared. Like, I was scared to throw that brick. Like, I was like, how are we going to do this? Like, how in God's name are we going to kill this snake? Oh, my gosh. I'm getting weirded out just thinking about this.
We took care of it, though. It took a bit of time, but we did it.
I bet we could find an old picture of it somewhere. I would love to show you guys. But anyways, ophidiophobia, the fear of snakes. If you have that, I totally understand. Any good news about that? Did it tell us any good news about the snakes? Like it did the spiders? I don't think so.
It's all bad news. It is what it is. This says another theory suggests that the fear of snakes and similar animals might arise out of inherent fear of disease and contamination.
Got it.
So it's not just that you're someone's scared of seeing the visual of seeing this creature, but the thought of what could happen if this creature bites you, comes into your home. Yeah. The fear of that type of situation. So I understand that. 100%.
No, that makes perfect sense.
Cottonmouths are quite poisonous. Deadly.
And they're so when you get up close on these things too, they're mean looking. It's just
and they'll spit that stuff out.
Yeah, they'll bite and they'll terrorize. All right.
We're moving on.
What's the next one?
Acrophobia.
Without question.
You have
Without question. If I have any phobia on the planet, it's this one.
100%. Fear of heights.
Oh, my gosh.
This impacts more than 6% of people.
Just more than 6? Oh, wait a minute. I'm
more than 6%.
Yeah, more. But you're telling me like a small population is... Only a small population is scared of heights? I'll let you continue reading.
This fear can lead to an anxiety attack and avoidance of high places. People who suffer from this phobia may go to great lengths to avoid high places such as bridges, towers, or tall buildings.
I agree. All of the above.
I'll tell y'all this. We were in St. Louis at the, my mother wanted us to experience going into the arch.
Your mom always tried to talk us into stuff.
Very tall, very confined space.
St. Louis Arch. Famous.
So she paid for us to go. He, of course, he didn't want to, but he was being brave. So he went with me.
That's right. We weren't married at the time, I don't think, or were we?
Yeah, I think we had.
Were we?
I think we had at least one kid at that time.
Okay.
So we go up this elevator, which is like a little
egg
that you're crammed in with strangers, and you're going, and it's up. It's like a weird, like jagged. It's not an elevator that just goes straight up.
No, because it has to tilt with the arch. So as you're going up, it literally is an egg shape, and it's you're confined. So first of all, if you're claustrophobic, you're going to struggle right there, because the egg itself is small. Okay, and that's not even talking about the heights. No. But then, so as you're going up, it like has to tilt or curve with the shape of the arch.
So
this is
weird.
Not good.
So weird. So you get to the top, and it has little windows all along the top that you can look out. So I go first. I'm like, okay, let me find a window, and I'm looking out. Oh, this is so cool. I look around, and my husband is nowhere to be found. He has left the building. He is back in the egg.
You dadgum right.
He never went to look out. Didn't make it.
I peeked out one time, and that was enough for me. And that was probably the if I've ever been scared of heights, like at a certain point to where my anxiety's through the roof, it was that time.
Right.
I literally was. I went up. I saw and I went straight back because I was like, get me the heck out of here, dude. It was not good. I did not like it. I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't one of those things where I was like, oh my God, I did this St. Louis Arch.
Well, you'll never forget it.
That's true. That's true. But I love Missouri. Nothing against you, Missouri and St. Louis, guys. The arch is not for me. So be prepared if you haven't been and you want to go. It's an experience.
It is.
You just better be ready.
It is. And that's what Mom wanted us to have, an experience.
I guess
she's all about the experiences. So I love that.
For sure.
Right.
Here's another one that relates to that. And I kind of have this, but let's just read it. Aerophobia. Okay, that's the fear of flying. It affects between 2.5 and 40% of U.S. adults, despite the fact that airplane accidents are actually very uncommon. Now,
Right.
except 2025
Except
has
for
been
lately.
bizarre. Like,
Yes.
what is up?
Up until this year, there have been very few.
I don't know. We've had
Airplane
more plane
accidents.
and helicopter crashes in 2025
Yeah.
than we have had probably in the last.
And we're only in March.
Yes. Unbelievable.
So-
And I said I wasn't flying anywhere in 2025 just because of all that's going on. But around 1 out of every 3 people have some level of fear of flying. Some of the common symptoms with this phobia include trembling, rapid heartbeat, and feeling
Right.
disoriented. So,
Yes, the fear of flying sometimes causes people to avoid flying altogether, but is often treated using exposure therapy, in which people
is-
are gradually and progressively introduced to flying. A person might start by simply imagining themselves
I'm
on a
imagining
plane,
myself on a plane.
before slowly working up to actually sitting on a plane and finally sitting through a flight.
Wow.
So that's exposure therapy, like exposing yourself to whatever your fear that you have gradually. It's interesting.
That makes sense, and I can see that working with several things.
Right.
I'll also say this though: we've flown quite a bit. I mean, we've gone several places last year, and
Jamaica,
we fly quite a bit. I will say I've never had a terrible experience flying.
Right.
Like I've never been on a flight and gotten scared. There's a little bit of turbulence.
The
but-
oxygen masks have never come
right.
down.
Like I've never had a bad experience. And so I pray to God that that's the case. I mean, I don't like flying. I don't enjoy it, but at the same
Yeah.
time, we've done it quite a bit where
Right.
it doesn't really affect us that bad. So I would still probably say I have a little bit of this, but it's not like
I think you
huge.
had it before you flew.
Oh, for
With the
sure.
fear of
Before
the
I flew.
unknown.
Yeah.
And then doing it like that exposure therapy. I mean, it worked.
Yeah, it's true. I'm imagining myself on a plane
Right
right now.
now,
We're
right
on our
now.
way to the Caribbean islands.
Oh, I wish.
Somewhere. My God.
I actually had that in my calendar for May that we were going to go.
Were we?
Maybe it was March. No, it was this month, March. We always March.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, because that's when
okay.
we went to Jamaica last time.
Yeah,
It was in March.
it's all right.
Lord Jesus.
We'll get back.
Take
Lord
us
willing.
back.
So, cynophobia.
Cynophobia, the next one.
Yes, or the fear of dogs. Is often associated with specific personal experiences, such as
I
being
can
bit
see
by
that.
a dog during
I can see
childhood.
that.
Yes. Such events can be quite traumatic and lead to fear responses that last well into adulthood. This particular phobia can be quite common.
Wow. Yeah, I feel like this is quite common. This is a phobia. I'm not scared of dogs, although I will say I am leery of certain breeds.
Right.
I know, people are going to say when it comes to pits,
how you raise
it's how you
them.
raise them. Well, I've had one. So I had a pit breed and it just wasn't good. It just wasn't good. I never got comfortable with the dog to where
Yeah.
I trusted him. He was kind of destructive a little bit. And, I've raised dogs like my lab. She's perfect.
Yeah.
And so I tried to do the same thing I did
Right.
with the pit that I did with my lab, and it just never assimilated in
Yeah.
any way. And so
Yeah.
it was a totally different experience. And
Bless
so that dog just wasn't a good fit for our family. So I'm a little bit leery of pit breeds. I just think that they're
You're different.
different. Can they be nice? Can you raise them? And they never attack 100%. But do they have the capacity to beat your butt? 100% they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
they're
I know
strong.
some folks who have this phobia for sure. So it's a real thing.
Real thing. Real thing.
Next, astrophobia.
Interesting. And this is
Go ahead.
fear of thunder and lightning. People with this phobia experience overwhelming feelings of fear when they encounter such weather-related phenomena. Symptoms of astrophobia are often similar to those of other phobias, including shaking, rapid heart rate, and increased respiration. I think all of our kids, to some degree, have this
they do.
phobia.
Well, we live in an area where storms are pretty common and close to us, around us, there have been tornadoes, and especially here lately, there have been some very destructive storm systems that have moved in. So it was a bit scary for sure. I mean, Mother Nature is Mother Nature, and it's going to do what it's going to do. There's nothing you can do about it. There have actually been quite a few deaths last week.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're just last week. My gosh, I think the toll was up to 26 or more deaths. And we're talking very close in towns that are probably less than an hour away from us, 30, 40 minutes. And so I think their phobia or their fear is legitimate because we have had some very close calls. So if you were, well, let's pray for all those that were recently affected. Literally just last week, guys. Or was it Friday night, Saturday night?
Yeah.
When was that? It hasn't even been a week. Literally days ago.
Right.
So transphobia, or that was, which one was that? Astrophobia?
Astrophobia.
Yeah, that was astrophobia. So
people with this phobia also tend to develop an excessive preoccupation with the weather. And some of our daughters, if they know that a storm's coming, they're checking weather.
It's crazy.
Like checking it. So I get it. Okay, here we go. I'm going to try this. Are you ready? Trypanophobia is the fear of injections.
Fear of injections.
A condition that can sometimes cause people to avoid medical treatment and doctors. Like many phobias, this fear often goes untreated because people avoid triggering object and situation. They're like, nope, I don't want to be near a needle. Not happening.
Well, this is interesting. Estimates suggest that as many as 20 to 30% of adults are affected by this type of phobia. So this is very common, and that's trypanophobia, the fear of injections. Injections, I'm trying to think what...
So not specifically the needle, but just of the act of something going into...
the body.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Injections.
So like a shot, you go get a cocktail shot, sinus cocktail or something like that.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
This phobia can lead to vaccine hesitancy. One study found that almost 12% of U.S. adults stated they were hesitant about the COVID-19 vaccine due to a dislike of needles and injections.
Dislike of needles and injections. Yeah. Well, I was leery of the vaccine, just to be truthful, but it wasn't because of the needles. It's just because I didn't trust the people.
What that was going.
Yeah, like what you put in my body, mate. Like I'm just being honest, and so. In hindsight, I'm glad I did not get the COVID vaccine. Thank you, Lord. With all the information and stuff that's coming out now, I feel like we dodged a big bullet. So
yeah, good stuff.
And if you did get vaxxed, hey, praise God, you followed your heart.
Yep,
and you
no
did
judgment here.
No judgment from us. So hey, it is what it is.
Yeah. Next, social phobia, social anxiety
Here
disorder.
we go.
The fear of social situations and can be quite debilitating.
In many cases, these phobias can become so severe that people avoid events, places, and people who are likely to trigger an anxiety attack.
Goodness.
And so I'm surprised. This says an estimated 7.1% of U.S. adults experience social anxiety. I would think this would be higher.
Yeah.
Especially amongst young people, because I know a lot of young people now, when I was a young person, we really didn't talk about anxiety. We didn't have anxiety, but now I feel like even a lot of young people deal with it. So I'm surprised that is as low as it is, but of course it could have increased. But yeah, so tell us a little bit more about that phobia.
So people with this phobia fear being watched or humiliated in front of others.
Okay.
Even ordinary everyday tasks such as eating a meal can be anxiety provoking.
Wow.
Social phobia is often developed during puberty and can last throughout life unless they are treated. Goodness. The most common form is the fear of public speaking.
Oh, gosh.
You don't have that.
I definitely don't have that. No.
I have it.
He
does not.
You don't either. You get on the mic and you do all kinds of stuff. So I would say you do not have.
Okay, so you have forced me to do exposure therapy with this.
And to your benefit. Look at you now, girl.
Right. Right.
Look at
Definitely
me now.
had it, though.
Yeah.
For sure. All right.
Okay. This one, I believe, is common. This is agoraphobia. And so this involves a fear of being alone in a situation or place where escape may be difficult. This type of phobia may include the fear of crowded areas, open spaces, or situations likely to trigger a panic attack. People will begin avoiding these trigger events, sometimes to the point that they cease leaving their homes. Wow. So that was a little different. I don't remember agoraphobia being that, but it makes sense. I knew it was like a deeper, because people... There are levels of anxiety when you study this stuff from a counseling perspective, and not to put on my just Bible counseling hat, but you study there are levels of anxiety. There's high functioning anxiety, but then you get it to this point like agoraphobia, and like it says, sometimes people are debilitated. They cannot even leave the house because their anxiety gets so bad. Right. So,
goodness.
Man, that's.
I get it though. Fear of crowded areas. Concerts and things where there's lots of people, and it's like, okay, if something happens, what's the escape plan? Because folks have gotten trampled in huge crowds and just terrible things. So I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
I know people that have had to quit jobs because of their anxiety. It's just so bad. Like they where we are. A lot of times for you to get the kind of job that pays well, you have to go into Tennessee. And most people that listen to this, they know this. All the good paying jobs are in Memphis. So, knew a friend, and they just, that drive, even the drive going over would trigger them. And so they couldn't do it anymore. And that was, and so... It's interesting, man. It's a real thing. It's a real thing.
And the thing about it is knowing what, putting words and definitions to these things can help somebody. I
hope
feel
so.
like, if you're like, okay, what is wrong with me? Why do I always feel this way in this situation? What's going on? How can I get out of this? How can I fix it? So there's hope.
There's hope. In Christ. There's always hope.
You don't have to stay in that phobia.
God is bigger than all our phobias.
That's right.
But, and I know that's easy to say and blanket.
Right.
But God gives us insight to lead us to physicians and medications and all of that thing. Everything in that scope of healing, to me, is God ordained. Even the medication, even the doctor, the whole process of getting all this figured out, trusting in God that He'll get that taken care of. And that's my perspective on that. So
good stuff.
Mesophobia or mysophobia. I don't know.
I know. I was going to say that. I'm not sure. Probably meso.
Yeah, I don't know if it's miso or miso.
Soup.
Yeah, but I don't know if that.
I'm just saying the pronunciation.
That's true. It's probably, now that I'm looking at it, it's probably misophobia. I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe so. All right.
But
it is.
This is the excessive fear of germs and dirt. This can lead people to engage in extreme cleaning, compulsive hand washing, and even avoidance of things or situations perceived as dirty. Here it is. It's related to obsessive compulsive disorder. That's right.
I was going to say OCD.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like this is probably common. Like, OCD is real common.
I think so too. And I don't think it just has to deal with like the excessive washing of hands. There's so many things that you could be OCD or obsessive over.
That's right.
I was trying to think of an example, but I know I have OCD about some things.
Wow. See? I didn't know
my
this.
house is not always clean.
There's six of us that live here. Like it's rarely clean.
I feel like
Lord help us.
I have OCD with when things are out of place. My mind, I feel.
It's terrible.
I feel the disorganization and I feel the overwhelming. Like, we got to get this right. We got to set it straight.
Yes.
Doesn't always. I am getting exposure therapy for my OCD
right now
through my house.
And
the disorder and. Yep.
Well, listen to this. This common phobia can also result in people avoiding physical contact with other people out of fear of contamination, overusing disinfectants, and excessive preoccupation with media reports about illness outbreaks. So, man, I'm sure during COVID, goodness gracious, if you suffered from OCD or mysophobia,
you were in the house.
You were not doing well. Yeah, that's it.
For sure. Well, that's some of the top ones that we talked about. and then I wanted to go back and look at this survey of the
Sure,
percentage.
let's look at the percentage.
How many? So I'm looking here of the ones that we talked about. Can you guess the top two? Without looking, or you're looking? You already looked?
No, did you take this survey?
No, but I have the results.
Oh, you have the results.
I do, because I signed up for the newsletter.
Oh, she signed up for the newsletter.
So you don't have access.
Hallelujah, I do not have access. So
all right,
here
pick the
it
first
is.
two.
So let me give you the choices, guys. And if you're listening to this,
go ahead.
So it's arachnophobia, fear of spiders, acrophobia, fear of heights, aerophobia, fear of flying, trypanophobia, fear of needles, claustrophobia, fear of enclosed spaces, cynophobia, fear of dogs, mesophobia, fear of germs.
Right.
And so out of those, if you're guessing at home, which do you think, what did you say, the top two?
Top two.
Which do you think are the top two? And so we'll give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And Heather,
all right,
give us those results.
Arachnophobia,
Really?
fear of spiders, and acrophobia, fear of heights. Though both of those got 19%.
Interesting.
Out of the survey
Gotcha.
here. The next two. Okay, the next one was claustrophobia,
Got it.
fear of enclosed spaces. That was 14%.
I can see that. I'm somewhat claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Like elevators, small spaces. Your chest starts getting heavy. It's hard to breathe. Like no.
Yes. Next, trypanophobia, the fear of needles. That got 13%.
Nice.
Okay. Next, so these two were tied. Aerophobia, fear of flying at 5%, and mesophobia, fear of germs, 5%.
Interesting.
And then the last one, cynophobia, the fear of dogs.
Got it.
Got 4%.
Gotcha. Give them that bonus one that we talked about today, the phobia we were talking about, that real long word that you like to say.
Triskaidekaphobia.
Tell the audience, tell the viewers, tell the audience.
I know y'all have heard of this.
What is triskaidekaphobia? What is it?
It is the fear of the number 13.
Fear of the number 13.
Right. I was trying to see how do you spell it. Triskaideka. Yeah, that's it right there.
So fear of the number 13. Can you give us some information about that?
So it's the irrational and intense fear of the number 13, a phobia that can lead to anxiety and avoidance behaviors. Specifically, the fear of the number 13, distinct from general superstition or unease about the number. So this is even more so like if like the general population, because we hear, the number
Friday
13, it's unlucky, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
But this is more intense. This is a specific, like they avoid anything that has to do with the number 13. Symptoms. People with triskaidekaphobia may experience panic attacks when confronted with the number 13 or avoid situations where it appears, such as buildings with a 13th floor. They won't stay there. If there's a hotel that has 13 floors in it, they're not going.
That sounds more superstitious than a phobia, but it's weird because it is a phobia.
It is a phobia. The
Do you
13th
remember
day of the month.
Yeah.
Not having it. Not going to do anything.
Not going to do it. We're staying home the 13th.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's cool. And that was a bonus one, by the way, for all the listeners. And I there's one more that came to my mind. What is the one where Sydney and them are always talking about? Is it the little holes?
Oh, yes. What is
there's
that?
a phobia.
Okay, I'm typing it. I'm doing it. It's fear of lots of tiny holes.
Okay. What is
Okay. Trypophobia
trypophobia?
is a strong aversion or fear. It's making, now I'm looking at this picture, it's making something weird with my teeth, y'all.
You're
I swear.
lying. So you have it.
Yes, a fear of clustered holes or bumps, often leading to feelings of disgust or anxiety when encountering such visual stimuli.
Give us an example of what that would be. Like
everyday objects like sponges.
Okay. Wow.
Honeycombs. Lotus seed pods, or even images of certain skin conditions can trigger trypophobic reactions.
Trypophobic.
Should I throw a picture?
That is weird, man.
It's just
I'll
weird.
add one in there.
Yeah. So like, I don't know if y'all can see my phone, but like this holes and just, it literally, when I look at that, y'all, my teeth feel, I don't know, my jaw, it makes something in my jaws.
You got it then,
weird.
girl. See, thank God.
I'm not scared
God
of them,
brought that to
though.
mind because he knew you needed to be confronted.
Good. I need that exposure therapy, I guess.
Well,
Strange.
I know I got the
strange.
fear of heights for sure. And I don't know if that's ever going anywhere. It hasn't ever stopped me though, but I do get like, even there's a lookout tower in Hot Springs that we go to. That even messes with me.
Right.
And that's not even a big tall building like in New York. You know what I mean? Like this is just a lookout tower
It's on the mountain. It's high.
It's high, but
high.
it's not like
elevation wise, high up.
Yeah. So it's freaky, but yeah. So, hey, I hope that we maybe shed some light on some of these phobias. Listen, I believe that God is greater than or can lead us to getting healing if it's something that's really stopping stopping us from living our lives. We know that God has the answer. And so continue to trust in him. We appreciate you guys joining us on the Junto podcast. That's right, the Together podcast. And we'll see you next time. Who knows what we're going to talk about next time? We're always talking about crazy stuff. So anyways, be blessed, guys. See ya. Thank you for listening to the Junto podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. You can find our link to YouTube and social media at juntopodcast.com. Remember to subscribe, like, and follow. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.